You've probably heard this phrase thrown around, right? Making your calling and election sure. It sounds important, but what does it actually mean? Well, that's what we're going to dig into today. Because honestly, as our source material points out, a lot of people have heard of it, but very few really get it.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, what even is calling an election? Then we'll look at the 3 different ways people talk about it. We'll zoom in on the big one, the more sure word, figure out what it takes to get there, and then, this is the cool part, we'll hit on a surprising paradox that changes everything.
Okay, so section 1. What is calling an election? This isn't some tiny, obscure idea. It's actually a pretty big deal in some circles, but man, does it create a ton of questions.
And here's the problem, right? The source material points out that most of us have only heard a few repeated lines about it. That's it. And when you don't have the full picture, you get all these different ideas and a bunch of questions with no real answers.
So, that brings us to the big question. What does it really mean to make your calling and election sure? Let's peel back those layers and get right to the heart of it.
All right, moving on. To actually make sense of all this, we need a framework, a way to organize our thoughts. And the sources suggest a really helpful one, breaking it down into 3 parts.
And what do you know? It's the number 3. If you're familiar with this theology, you know 3 is a big deal, right? It just keeps popping up. And it's no different here. It gives us a great way to structure this whole concept. So here are the 3 meanings. First, you've got pre-earth callings, jobs you were assigned before you even got here. Second, there are group callings, like the entire house of Israel being chosen for a purpose. But the third one, that's the one we're really going to focus on. This is the big one, the individual personal promise, the sealing up to eternal life.
Yeah, this third meaning, this more sure word, that's the core of it all. When you hear people like the Apostle Peter or the prophet Joseph Smith talk about this is what they mean.
And here's the definition. This is so important. We're not talking about just hoping you're saved. This is about knowing, a person knowing they are sealed up to eternal life given to them by revelation through priesthood power. It's a total game changer. Joseph Smith put it perfectly. He said, this promise becomes an anchor to the soul. I mean, can you imagine that? Going through all the craziness of life, all the ups and downs, but having this deep, unshakable certainty that you're going to make it in the end? That's what this is about.
And get this is a really key distinction. Remember on the Mount of Transfiguration when Peter heard God's voice say, "This is my beloved Son"? Well, the more sure word is described as being even more powerful than that. Why? Because it's not a voice talking about someone else, even Jesus. It's a voice talking directly to you about your salvation.
Okay, so if that's the goal, this incredible promise, how do you get there? What's the path? What's actually required to receive this kind of assurance?
Well, the Apostle Peter actually gives us a roadmap in his second letter. It's this list of attributes, faith, virtue, knowledge, and so on. But it's not just about kind of having them. He says they need to abound in you. Basically, it's about a total character transformation. But that's only half of it. It's not just about being a good person. The sources are super clear that it's a 2-part equation. You also have to participate in the ordinances of the temple, making those specific covenants with God.
And let's be real, this is not an easy road. Joseph Smith said the Lord has to thoroughly prove someone first. He has to see that you're determined to serve him at all hazards. That means no matter what, no matter the cost. It's a serious commitment.
Okay, so it sounds like a checklist, right? A very, very hard checklist, but still. Do these things, get the promise. But right here, the whole thing gets flipped on its head with this incredible, counterintuitive paradox.
And here it is. This is wild. The more you focus on getting this for yourself, the more you think, I need to get my calling and election made sure, the further away it gets. It's like trying to grab smoke.
This lays it out perfectly. The wrong focus is looking inward, seeking it for yourself. The right focus? It's completely forgetting about yourself and just thinking about other people. You don't achieve this promise, it comes to you as a side effect of a selfless life.
And this quote from Joseph Smith ties it right back to what Jesus taught. He that loses his life for my sake shall find it. It's the exact same principle. The greatest personal reward comes when you stop seeking personal rewards.
So, let's just pull this all together. We started with a confusing phrase, and we've seen it's actually this deep personal promise. But the craziest part is that you don't find it by looking for it. You find it by not looking for it, by living a life of service.
But wait,
Even with that paradox, Joseph Smith still said we should never cease struggling until we get this evidence. So what does that mean? It sounds like you're supposed to strive for it and forget about it at the same time. It's this tension between working your hardest to be righteous while also completely losing yourself in service.
And that really leaves us with one final, very personal question to think about, doesn't it? When it comes right down to it, is the focus of your life on you or on others?